Hello, everyone. This is Dave from Dave's Recent Things. Today, I'm going to be making a neutral colored egg wreath for Easter. How about we just get started and I show you how I made this wreath? I had purchased these dozen white eggs. Now, these are the dyeable eggs that I just purchased at the Dollarama. In total, I picked up 4 dozen of them. They come in a package. They're clear white. There's no lines on them like the plastic ones, so I thought they would be perfect for painting and using for this wreath. I also have a 14-inch wire wreath frame, and this I got at the Dollar Tree. So this one I purchased at the Dollar Tree. Really simple, really easy. Nothing to tie on here or anything. All I'm going to do is wrap some burlap around the entire wreath frame. You don't have to use burlap if you don't want to. You can use like a loose rag that you have around, cut that up and wrap it around ribbon. Anything really. All you need to do is just create a little bit of a larger surface for you to glue the eggs on. If you want to glue the eggs directly on the wire, that's perfectly fine as well. It was a little bit easier wrapping around the burlap and then gluing the eggs to the burlap. So that's the first step that I did in creating this wreath is as I just wrapped this burlap all the way around. I started it off by gluing it at the beginning, gluing it at the end, and here you go. It's all wrapped. It's all ready for my eggs to be glued down. But first, I have white eggs. I don't want white eggs, so I'm going to be painting those. And what I'm going to be using for this is just acrylic paints. So I've purchased these guys at the Dollar Tree. It's like a beige yellow color and an espresso color. Those are the two colors that I'm going to do solids. And then these two paints I got at the Dollarama, and this is just black and white. And all I'm going to do is mix those and make a gray hue. Now, unfortunately, when I was taping, I lost when I was painting the the 3 colors, so I don't have the footage of that, unfortunately. But I painted a dozen in each color, and as well, what I did was I took that espresso color and I added speckles to the white egg, so little splotches all over. So all I'm going to do is wet a paintbrush, get it really, really wet, and then I'm just going to flick it. So here I'm just using my index finger to flick it, and then it gets and it creates all these little speckles all over. And I just dip a little bit in the paint, a lot of water, and it becomes very runny, very wet, and very flickable. Oh, geez. And those eggs kept falling off all the time. But there you go. Just a little word of warning. You can see by my desktop and my hands, paint does get everywhere. So use a protective surface because the paint will fly everywhere. And those darn eggs kept falling all over the place. But I wanted everything to dry. Here is my wreath. Here are a dozen of those beige color eggs that I've painted and dried. And I'm going to start off with this dark espresso color. And all I'm going to do for my eggs is I'm just going to put a little bit of hot glue down. I'm going to find a spot, and then I'm just going to glue them right onto that burlap wreath base. And really, that's it. There's no method, there's no layout or plan. I'm just kind of taking each color, adding some hot glue down, and then I'm just going to hold it in place until it dries a little bit, and then move on to the next color. And here I have that espresso color, that beige color, and you'll see the gray right there as well, along with that white speckled egg one too. And I'm just alternating between each color, placing it down all over that base. Now that everything's dry for my first layer, I am going to add a second layer just for a little depth and a little interest. Now, for some of them, I wrapped a little bit of twine around the gray ones, just again to add a little more interest to it. And I'm going to create a second layer where I'm just going to place a couple of eggs just right on top there. Now, for me, when I was doing this, I did like to see the burlap in the back with the wreath frame. And if you don't want to see that, you can totally get more eggs and cover everything up so you don't see that burlap in the background. But I kind of liked it. I wanted it to be a little rustic, a little modern, farmhousey, whatever the terminology is now. But I just wanted it to be just a little bit rustic and showing that burlap. So here we go. I have my second layer of eggs down, and I'm just so happy with how it turned out. So I'm just going to let that fully dry and cure with all the glue and move on to making my ribbon, or my bow, I should say, out of ribbon. All I'm going to do for this is use 2.5 inch. This is plain wired burlap ribbon. I am cutting 5 pieces at 17 inches in length. Now, this is a bundle bow or a bouquet bow or a hand bow, I think some people are calling it. I also did a more in-depth video on making this bow. So if you want to see that, I'll just link that in the top right-hand corner and down below, and then you can see a more detailed version of this bow for a tutorial. And what I did was I just dovetailed each end, folded it over, and then I made a little squishy part in the center and held it with my index finger and the finger behind it, and I moved on to my next loop. So what I'm doing here is I'm creating 5 loops in total, and I'm just holding them together with my left hand in between that pointy finger and the finger right beside it, just holding it all in place. And again, it's 5 pieces at 17 inches. I'm going to take my little twist tie, twist it all around, make sure it's nice and tight, and then I'm going to fold open those little tails at the bottom so I can get that on my wreath. Here's my wreath again, and I found a spot where I didn't do a second layer of Easter eggs, and all I'm going to do is twist that excess pipe cleaner, flip it over, and just wrap that pipe cleaner around to the back. And then I'm just going to twist it in place and make sure it's nice and secure. And of course, with me, I usually like to add a little bit of hot glue just where I twisted it, just to make sure it doesn't go anywhere. I don't use a whole bunch, just a little bit on there. Let that dry, and then that'll be nice and secure, and that bow will not come off. I'm flipping it over, and now one of my favorite parts. If you've watched my past videos, I love fluffing bows. I don't know what it is. I just spend a long time doing it. But there you go. My bow is all fluffed up. My eggs are all on there, nice and secure. And I just love how this turned out with all these colors here. And here it is on my outside door. That chocolate brown color, the light beige, the white, the gray with the twine, with the burlap in the background and that plain burlap bow. I just love this, and I hope you do as well. Thank you so much for watching and joining me today again. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so you can be notified whenever I upload a new video. Thank you again for coming and joining me today. Take care. Bye for now.